Paul George. In his third team in the NBA, it's fair to say he hasn't had the same success in the last 6 years as compared to the beginning of his career. PG-13 is a part of the Los Angeles Clippers right now, trying to at least lead the Clippers to their first NBA title ever. However, there is a record that doesn't give George much hope with his new team. The last time he won a playoff series up until this year was when he was still with the Indiana Pacers in 2014. That year, they reached the Eastern Conference Finals, where LeBron James and company eliminated them. That marked the last time he actually won a playoff series up until this year. After that, he missed the playoffs in 2015. 2016, the Toronto Raptors eliminated the Pacers in the first round of the playoffs in 7 games. The following year, his first with OKC, the Houston Rockets beat them in 5 games. 2018, they were upset by a young Utah Jazz-led team with Donovan Mitchell, and that earned PG and Russell Westbrook a lot of criticism for their displays and how big they choked in the postseason. Last year, they were defeated by Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games, with George posing for one of the most memorable shots and picks in the NBA recent times. That made 6 years without winning a single playoff series for PG. This season, Paul George teamed up with Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers, trying to take the team to the promised land. For many thought this may be the season when George ends the streak. He has the perfect teammate to do something big in the postseason, on top of the fact they had the deepest team and most promising bench in the NBA. That brings us to 2020. Playing in the NBA bubble, Paul George finally escaped the first round of the playoffs, playing on a Clipper team that's favored to win the NBA title by a long shot. However, when you look at the headlines today, the first thing you see is what an embarrassment. NBA world in disbelief over another historic choke. And it's not surprising that this historic choke includes Paul George. And probably the Denver Nuggets fielded the 2 best players in the Game 7 against a Kawhi Leonard and a Paul George-led team. Jokic posted monster triple-double while Jamal Murray dropped 40 in Denver's 104-89 Game 7 win, securing a date with the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. And it just spoiled the all-LA battle that everybody anticipated this season when Paul George teamed up with Kawhi Leonard in Los Angeles to join the Clippers. In this epic and historically embarrassing loss, Leonard and Paul George combined for just 24 points on 10 of 28 shooting. They missed all of their shots in the fourth quarter, finishing their final frame of the season scoreless. Title favorites, after taking a commanding series lead in Game 4, the Clippers blew double-digit first half leads for the 3rd straight game, and again fell short of the franchise's first ever conference finals appearance. It was an ugly defeat for the Clippers and Paul George, who were savaged and canceled by NBA fans after once again falling short of the Western Conference Finals. It wasn't only the fans who got into the action. Even stars like Portland Trailblazers Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum took pot shots at the Clippers, who they briefly became involved in a war of words with prior to the playoffs. Magic Johnson stated on Twitter, the Clippers choked again. They choked against Houston in 2015. They choked tonight against the Denver Nuggets. Kevin O'Connor went on to say, "What an embarrassment by the Clippers. Congrats to the Nuggets, but I truly can't believe this. Blown 3-1 lead. Third time in Doc Rivers' career. Paul George shooting 4-16. Not giving much on the defensive end. One of the biggest choke jobs in NBA history. The same old Clippers. And for me, it's not the same old Clippers. It's the same old Paul George. The union of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George last summer vaulted the Clippers into the championship conversation. Along with Anthony Davis and LeBron James going to the Lakers, everybody thought both LA teams were destined to meet in the playoffs for a big-time LA clash. What felt like an inevitable LA showdown, which was theirs for the taking when they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets, instead, pressure mounted for the Clippers, and they choked in the clutch. Now clouded by bitter defeat, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can both become unrestricted free agents in 2021. The blown series lead raises questions about Doc Rivers, his ability to right the ship next season. Tuesday's loss, again, it marked the sixth time a team coached by Rivers has blown a series lead with 3 wins. But enough about the Clippers. I must admit that the Clippers definitely earned this. For as much as Paul George choked away this NBA playoffs, definitely got to give Jamal Murray, Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets all the credit in the world for stepping up in back-to-back playoff series, being down 3-1, playing with their backs against the wall, and coming out victors. Not sure what we're going to see of the Los Angeles Clippers next season. I'm sure we're going to still have the same old hype. I'm sure we're going to have the same old fanfare. I'm sure people are going to be touting that they're destined for a comeback. But I want you guys to remember, I was the first one to tell you, Paul George is not the guy that you thought he was. People laughed. People called me crazy. People made excuses for Paul George when I tried to explain that losing 6 years in a row in the playoffs in the first round is not a coincidence. So it didn't surprise me this year when Paul George was a part of another disaster and another choke job now involving Kawhi Leonard, another player who's been overrated much of his career and carried by Hall of Famers and Hall of Fame teams. Playoff P, they call him. Playoff P, they call him. I'm not sure what to think of Paul George's career as of now. Some say he's a Hall of Famer. I say he's a glorified Mitch Richmond. FYF Sports, man, we out.